low-level pass by a pair of Ukrainian Air Force Su-25 Frogfoots from the 299th Brigade. The rifle regiments of Russia's 51st and 3rd Armies, formerly the 1st and 2nd Army Corps of the LPR and DPR, are facing a catastrophic shortage of people and material support due to losses and disorganization, according to a source in one of the regiments. The Russian Ghost of Novorossiya Telegram channel reports the account of a signalman from one of the regiments with whom it says, "We have been working for a very long time." The man's identity is not being disclosed in order to protect him from retaliation by his superiors. If you have the opportunity, help raise the following systemic problem of the former regiments of the Mobilization Reserve of the People's Republics, and now separate rifle regiments. They have a neutered staffing table, both in terms of people and material resources. If we adhere to the formal staffing table according to the law, then these regiments were created and continue to exist with very limited combat capability. Specific examples. 1. There is no regular artillery in the separate rifle regiments at all, not even mortars. What is available is freelance and can be withdrawn from the unit at any time. Supplying ammunition to freelance artillery is a separate, semi-legal quest. People are accordingly officially listed as who, where, and are in limbo. 3. There is no air defense service and means at all. 4. There is no NBC protection service at all. But at least they issued gas masks here, the only bright spot. There is no UAV service at all. What is available is freelance and comes from volunteers and personal funds of servicemen. 5. The regimental command is neutered. There is no operations department. All the work is at the general staff and the defense staff. 6. Communications at the regimental command level should be provided by only a few people, and this is instead of a communications company, or at least a full-fledged platoon. The material base, according to the staffing, is from the times of Afghanistan. Everything else is unstaffed and comes at the expense of volunteers and personal funds of military personnel. 7. With the medical service, the situation is similar according to the staffing, and such examples can be dug up even more than both for the standard material base and for the standard of people. If this problem is treated with more or less understanding, then the holes are plugged by seconding people from the line battalions, but this also does not completely solve all the problems. A catastrophic shortage of people and material support. People who are engaged in freelance work are actually in limbo. If a situation develops, as in the 87th Separate Rifle Regiment, then the result is very sad. Although the source doesn't go into detail about the causes of these problems, the former 1st and 2nd Army Corps of the LPR and DPR were only recently converted into regular Russian combined arms armies. They were previously subordinated to Russia's 8th Combined Arms Army. This process of consolidation would have included, in theory, increasing the staffing of the former corps by adding additional regiments, brigades, and divisions. However, it seems from this account that there is a critical shortage of staffing across the two new armies. Russian soldiers drive past destroyed Russian armored vehicles and transport somewhere on the front.
Так мы доставляем грузы нашим солдатам. Вот смотри, что здесь происходит. Опасно, пизда как. Ебать. Столько техники здесь. Каждый день дроны летают. По несколько штук. Здесь аккуратнее, аккуратнее здесь. Ну, пизда, ебать. Вроде пока спокойно. Здесь солдаты наши лежат.
President Zelensky said in an interview with CNN that Russia knocked out 80% of Ukraine's energy infrastructure. Other notable things. Ukraine tried to set up 14 new brigades. However, there was hardly any equipment and vehicles for 4 brigades. In the absence of more material from the West, drones had to play a greater role. Russia has used 4,000 glide bombs against eastern Ukraine in just 1 month. Russia used 12 artillery shells when Ukraine could only use 1. Now the ratio is clearly better. Ukraine wants to be able to use Western long-range weapon systems against Russian air bases, but since the permission to do so has dragged on for so long, the damage has already been done, and the Russians are now moving their planes further into the country as they have already caused great damage to many objects in Ukraine, which was suitable to attack from shorter distances. Therefore, Ukraine now instead needs permission and means to strike even further into Russia. The only thing that Putin is really afraid of is that his own people can turn against him. They may do that if, just like the Ukrainians, they get to experience or the power outage.
Again, when we speak about equipment, how to equip brigades.
Ryan Wesley Routh, the 58-year-old man detained Sunday in connection with an apparent assassination attempt on Donald Trump in Florida, self-published a book last year detailing his efforts to support Ukraine in the war against Russia. In the 291-page book, Routh described his disillusionment with the war in Ukraine, which he called unwinnable. The book also discussed the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan and the political situation in Taiwan, which has faced growing military threats from China. The book, released on Amazon with no publisher listed, is titled Ukraine's Unwinnable War: The Fatal Flaw of Democracy, World Abandonment, and the Global Citizen Taiwan, Afghanistan, North Korea, and the End of Humanity. In it, Routh describes how he had traveled to the Poland-Ukraine border in an effort to enlist in the war. But at 56, with absolutely no military experience, I was reluctantly turned away by the staff at the border office. Instead, he tried to enlist more fighters for the war effort, traveling to Kyiv and setting up a makeshift volunteer center at Independence Square before it was disassembled by police. He then lost all arguments and calls to City Hall, he writes, and spent several months camped out in protest at various locations around the city. I had given every ounce of motivation and energy that I could muster for Ukraine and came up empty-handed, he said, describing his unsuccessful attempts to build drones for the Ukrainian army with a team of international engineers.
And the concept of being unselfish and being generous.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.